In this video, I'm going to show you how to customize UberMenu's responsive breakpoints using less. So UberMenu has 3 breakpoints, and that means they're widths at which, within certain ranges, UberMenu's layout will change. So above 767 pixels, the menu will be laid out as you would expect to see on a desktop device with a full menu bar. Below that, below 767 pixels, it will change into this toggle menu, and you'll see 2 columns. And below 480 pixels, it'll change into a single column menu, also with the toggle. Now, the issue that arises is that if you're, so these breakpoints are pretty standard, but if you have menu items that take up the entire width of your menu bar, for example, at 960 pixels, which is sort of a standard desktop size, between 767 and 960 pixels, you may end up with menu items that are forced to a second line. So this is something that would happen, for example, on an iPad in portrait mode, where the width is only 767 pixels, so all of your menu items simply don't fit on one line and they're jumped down to the next line. So in a case like this, you might want to change the breakpoint where it goes to that collapsed toggle menu at 960 pixels instead of 767 pixels. So there's a tutorial in the knowledge base that shows you how to do exactly that. How can I change the responsive breakpoints, which is under Common Customizations. And the way we do that is actually really simple because of the less structure, the less CSS file structure of UberMenu. So the first thing you do is you come over to UberMenu's directory structure, and you'll see that there's a custom folder, and this is the only folder we want to change. And inside it, you'll see that there's a custom sample.less, and also in the less folder, a config.less. And these are the 2 files that we're going to be dealing with. So the first thing is we want to make our own copy of custom sample.less, and we'll just call it custom.less. So make a copy of that file and rename it custom.less. All right. And so this file imports a config file, which is in less config.less, and this tells UberMenu where the breakpoints are. So if you look at the default config file, not our custom one, you'll see that the collapsed breakpoint is at 767 pixels. And what we want to do is change that to 959. So the custom config.less that ships with UberMenu already has 959 in there, so you won't need to change that, assuming that's the breakpoint you want to use. So now we come back to custom.less, and the only other thing you need to change here is to make sure that you import the skin that you want to use, because we're going to disable that otherwise because we're using this custom.css. So I'm using the vanilla bar.less file, but you can change that to any other skin file you like. The next thing we do is we just compile custom.less into a CSS file. And now this is very specific to your setup, so you need to get less set up and configured on your machine with your text editor, and that's outside the scope of this tutorial, but there are plenty of less tutorials out there for getting set up, and you can even do this online sometimes. And so I just hit Command B and it compiles. You'll see that I'll get this custom.less file, and this includes everything. This includes the basic.css along with the skin and along with our custom breakpoints. So at this point, all I have to do is now tell UberMenu that I want it to use the custom CSS and no longer load the basic CSS, because we've already got that in our custom CSS now. So all I do is I go into the UberMenu settings, go to the style configuration, and say that I want to load custom.css. And then I go to the advanced settings and I tell it I don't want to load basic.css anymore, because I'm doing that myself. So now I just save the settings. And now when I go back to my front page, you'll see that the menu has now changed to use the vanilla skin that I told it to in the custom file. And then you'll see that as I resize, it automatically goes to the toggle below 960 pixels instead of below 767 pixels. And that's all there is to it. When you upgrade UberMenu to a new version, you just need to recompile that less file to the CSS file so you get the new version of the basic.css.